The sun's rays slowly seep through the curtains, gently waking me from sleep. I lay awake, clasping my eyes shut, savoring the feeling of warmth and comfort before I opened them. As usual, my husband has already left for work, leaving me alone in this large, quiet apartment. Glancing at the clock, I see that it's 9:15. I usually get up much earlier, so I can get the house in order while everyone is still asleep. But today, for some reason, I overslept. It's not too late. I have a whole day ahead of me. Stretching, I get out of bed and throw on a light silk robe. Quietly treading the hardwood floors, I head to the kitchen, where I begin my morning ritual of brewing a cup of coffee. As the coffee slowly drips into the cup, I manage to take a quick shower and get dressed. Settling down at the kitchen table, I take my first sip with relish. It feels so good to start the day with this invigorating drink. Today, I have the usual chores to do: laundry, cleaning, cooking dinner. But I'm not complaining. I like this measured, unmarred life of a housewife. Suddenly, an unexpected creak of the door in the hallway breaks the silence. I look up and see my son coming out of his room, wiry and sleepy. He also freezes in place, meeting my gaze. An awkward silence hangs between us for a moment. "Good morning, Mom," he finally says, clearly feeling out of place. "Good morning, dear," I replied, as casually as I could, though my insides were clenching with embarrassment. "You're up early." "Yeah, I couldn't sleep for some reason," he mumbles, his eyes downcast. I jump up from my seat, feeling the color rush to my cheeks. I need to end this awkward interaction as soon as possible. "Since you're already up, why don't you join me for breakfast?" I suggest, hurriedly clearing the dirty dishes off the table. He nods briefly and follows me obediently. As I sit down at the table, I try my best to remain calm, but inside, I'm clenching with embarrassment. My own son caught me practically unclothed. I quickly set him some toast with jam and pour him a glass of juice, hoping the food will distract us both. There is an oppressive silence. We pick at our plates in silence, casting wary glances at each other. God, I wish this awkward moment would end soon. "You're up early today. Any plans for the day?" I ask, trying my best to keep my voice casual. He shakes his head negatively. "No, I just couldn't sleep." "Are you going to clean up tonight?" "Yeah, I need to clean up while you were sleeping," I said. "And I need to make dinner too." My son nods briefly and then falls silent again, picking at the remains of his breakfast with his fork. We both feel awkward, not knowing what to say. God, I wish he'd never caught me like this in the first place. "Oh, okay. I'm going to go take care of business," I said, rising from the table. "You rest." He looks up at me, and I can see that he's having a hard time too. "Okay, Mom. I'll sit here for a while," he says quietly. I nod and walk quickly out of the kitchen, trying not to meet his eyes. My heart is still pounding frantically in my chest. What was that? Why do I feel so awkward and embarrassed? After all, I was only doing what I usually do in the morning. But the presence of my son catching me off guard brings a whole different connotation to the situation. For the rest of the day, I feel overwhelmed and distracted. Of course, I try to keep my usual housewife mask on my face, doing laundry, cleaning, and cooking dinner. But there are contradictory feelings struggling inside me. Shame, embarrassment, curiosity. Curiosity? Where did that come from? I immediately chase away the thought. No, I mustn't think like that. This is my Sam, my own person. I'm a mother, and I should behave accordingly, not indulge in shameful fantasies. But no matter how hard I try, I can't get the image of him standing in the bedroom doorway out of my head. I involuntarily remember how he was, disheveled, sleepy, in his underwear. No, I have to stop thinking about it. It's not right. We're a family. In the evening, lying in bed, I replay the events of that day over and over in my head. I feel like there's still tension in the air. I wonder how my Sam feels. Is he experiencing something similar? I bury my face into my pillow, trying to push away the obscene fantasy. No, this is wrong. I need to forget about this incident and get things back to normal. The next day, when my husband came home from work, I decided to tell him what had happened. I didn't want to keep the secret to myself, and maybe he could help me understand my conflicting feelings. Honey, I had a strange incident yesterday morning, I began, choosing my words carefully. You know how I usually get up early to clean the house while everyone is asleep, right? He nodded, looking at me carefully. So, while I was in the kitchen, our son came out of his room. He took me by surprise, and I was, well, not really dressed, I stammered, feeling my cheeks start to burn. My husband frowned. So you're telling me that our son saw you like that, he said, choosing his words. I nodded hesitantly. Yes, we were both very embarrassed. To be honest, I still can't get it out of my head. I'm so embarrassed. My husband scratched his chin thoughtfully. I understand. It's certainly an unpleasant situation, but I don't think we should dramatize it. It's probably just an accident, and no one thought anything of it. Maybe I should talk to my son, clear things up. I nodded hesitantly. Maybe he was right. It was worth trying to get things back to normal. The next morning, the atmosphere in the house was much more relaxed. My son and I did talk, and both of us seemed relieved. He assured me that it was just a random, awkward moment, and he didn't think anything of the sort. I, too, tried to reassure him that everything was fine and that we would just try to forget about the incident. At breakfast, we chatted casually again, as if nothing had happened. My husband was pleased that we had resolved the situation so quickly. I could feel the tension that had plagued me all the previous day slowly ebbing away. But as my thoughts went back to that morning, I still found that the image of my son catching me off guard still haunted me. Contrary to common sense, I can't get rid of the secret, sinful fantasy. However, I am determined to drive them away. This is my family, and I can't afford such thoughts. It's time to finally get back to normal and not think about this unfortunate incident again.